have
I
like the
know.
actual intro music
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's
stuff.
like, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, dun,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, uh, well, hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Analytical Innovation Podcast. We took a little break over the holidays, but we are back at it. Today, I have a great guest with me. It is PeggyLee Wright. She is awesome, and she works with us in the defense space and with the business that Analytical AI is trying to get in Huntsville. But she's also just a fascinating person in her own right and just has such a fascinating history. I've got my notes here so that I don't screw anything up, so we'll see about that. But PeggyLee Wright is a former Blackhawk pilot who served with distinction in the 82nd Airborne Division at Honduras and Fort Lee, Virginia. And following her military career, she has started her own consulting business for defense, logistics, leadership management, education, and executive coaching. Her business is called The Company You Keep, which is, of course, a woman-owned, veteran-owned small business in Huntsville, Alabama. And she specializes in executive coaching, personal branding, organizational leadership, business development, and program management for a diverse range of clients, including government, military, academic, nonprofit, and industrial enterprises. Peggy Lee also is deeply involved in her community, serving on the boards of several nonprofits, such as the ASCTE School there in Huntsville, as well as the Huntsville Soft Network and the health establishment at local schools, also known as HEALS. And she also has 4 children who I know you lovingly refer to as the terror cell, which makes me feel great as a parent.
Absolutely.
And you're married to TJ Wright for almost 30 years.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We're hitting 30 this year.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? It's crazy.
That's just wild.
I
That's
know.
wild. It gives me hope as the father of 4. And
Absolutely. Hang in there.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
There's light.
If this is the first time that you're listening to the podcast, I'm Dr. William Monroe. I'm the VP for Data Science at Analytical AI. I'm also the Chief Data Scientist for Strategic AI Services, which is a joint venture that we have with TJ's company, Offset Strategic Services in Huntsville. But this podcast isn't about selling y'all anything. This is about innovation and entrepreneurship and AI, and just getting to have wonderful talks with the wonderful people that we get to work with. So that's that. So today, I thought, Peggy Lee, what we could talk about was just the challenges of being a woman in the space that we're in. Just in computer science, the statistics aren't great for how many women are in that aspect of our field. But then I know also in the security and defense space, there's also not a lot of women in that space. So is that all right? Does that seem like an okay thing for us to cover today?
Absolutely.
All right, great. First thing I wanted to talk about was just ask you a little bit about your decision to join the military and to become a Blackhawk pilot.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It definitely was not like my life's goal, to be a Blackhawk pilot or to even be in the Army. I grew up in a military family. My dad was Army all the way. We were stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, my whole life. Grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, lovingly referred to as Vietnam. And both of my, exactly. Both of my brothers went into the military, and I was really adamant that I would not be in the military.
Okay.
And so after high school, I went to college in New York, about as far away as I could get from a military-minded town, and was just really enjoying being a college student. And then when the first Desert Storm broke out in the early 90s, I went home because the soldiers were packing up. And back then, when the posts and bases were open, we didn't have all that security around them. We would line up on Ardennes, the community would on Ardennes, the main road going down the 82nd Airborne, and stand there while troops boarded buses and all their
Oh,
gear. And
wow.
it was just very emotional.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that's when a family friend kind of put the bug in my ear that was like, you came all the way home for this in order to see these guys off. You know that you should be having some involvement here. And so my whole way back home, having just graduated from college, I thought about that. And the next thing you knew, I was talking to folks at Hofstra University about joining their ROTC program as a grad student and how do I do these things. And, fast forward, I'm now in Fort Rucker, Enterprise, Alabama, back in the mid 90s now, and going to flight school. And it was by far that career, being with some amazing men and women, and just serving our country was by far one of the things that I'm most proud of in my 55 years on the planet. It has been just a wonderful experience, was a wonderful experience, and some of the closest friends I still have.
Yeah, I bet. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds like just such an incredible journey. Over the course of that journey, do you feel like there was any particular challenges that you had over the course of that, either because of being a woman or just because?
I think a lot of times I will tell anyone that asks me, because I've been asked a few times to talk about the challenges of being a woman in the military, or what kind of discrepancies did I experience, or things like that. And I will have to tell you, my time in the military was amazing. I was in for 10
that's
years
great.
before I got out to become a mom. And I don't know if it was because I was raised on a military installation, or the kind of insights that I had growing up in a very male dominant family with my father and my brothers. But I can honestly say that my time in the military, I did not experience this feeling of I had to prove myself, or that I was put in circumstances where I felt chastised or less than because I was a woman.
Yeah.
If anything, I think the challenge was one that I gave myself. We do have a tendency, and when I say we, I mean me, I'm my own worst critic. So before I go in to do anything, I'm thinking, okay, am I going to be good enough? Are they going to respect what I'm bringing to the table? Am I going to be able to keep up? So if anything, my 10 years in the military was about challenging myself. And as long as I was doing exactly what I needed to do to be a good leader, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, I didn't have a problem. So I think that's for me, and that's a lesson. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. My daughters are seniors this year in high school. One is going to the Naval Academy. The other is going to go into veterinary medicine at Auburn. But I tell these girls, just like I've told my boys, life is really a mindset, right? And how you attack it is your own mindset. And don't let the outside noise of what you can accomplish, or what you think people are thinking about what you can accomplish, be a speed bump for you.
No, I mean, I think that's such a great point, that sometimes the challenges aren't external.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I don't often think about, because often I personally think, okay, if I'm experiencing this anxiety at work or in a meeting or something about what somebody else thinks, I'm like 100% confident that I'm in the doghouse with that person.
Exactly. And I think that's and that is not to say that that bad things don't happen, or that there have not been experiences that women in the military have had, whether or in corporate America for that matter. That's not to say that they don't happen, but I was very fortunate for them not to happen to me. And I think my biggest challenge that I had in the military was I can't walk into every situation feeling like I had to prove myself, because I was one of the only females flying at the time.
So what what would you do in that situation when you're going in and you're feeling like you have to prove yourself? What was your self-talk in those moments to kind of bring it back down and say, okay, I'm the boss. I own the room. I don't need to prove myself here.
Right.
How would you approach that?
So I tend to, and it was something that my father taught me. I tend to approach most situations with, if I am walking into this situation and at the front of it, my purest of intentions is to do the right thing and to take care of the people who are looking to me for an answer, then all of the self-doubt that I have is going to wash away. So it's not leading with trying to demand a room or trying to command a room. It's leading with, I want to take care of people in this room and I want to do the right thing.
It's that notion of service.
That's right.
And it's as complicated as human emotions are, it's awfully hard. There's certain emotions that are really difficult to hold at the same time.
Such a true statement.
So that's a really great notion, that if you're going into it saying, how can I be of service here? It's awfully hard to at the same time be worried about what everybody else is thinking.
That's right.
About
So
you.
now the situation is not about me, not about what people are thinking about me, not what people are looking at in terms of, is she capable? Can she really do this? Now the attention is on, we have a mission to do, we have something to do here, and it involves all of us, and I need to ensure that everyone that is involved is safe, that everyone is involved is accountable, that what we are doing is going to truly have a very measured success. And so now it's not about my challenges or the things I have doubts about within myself. It's about them.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And it sounds like that's really carried over into your post-military career as well. So you've gone from having that mindset of being service-oriented in what you were doing during your military service to now your businesses. I mean, we went through your bio at the beginning. Everything you're doing now is service related. So talk to me a little bit about the company you keep and some of the boards that you're on.
Absolutely.
And how that fits.
So it kind of goes, same thing. I stepped away from my career for several years, my gosh, almost probably over a decade, in order to be a mom. And because that was really important to me. And, but at some point, I kind of, in addition to being a mom, I also wanted to figure out who Peggy Lee Wright was again.
Yeah.
And so living in Huntsville, coming to Huntsville, being a part of a community that was growing, a community that was kind of like a hidden little secret in the 2000s, early 2000s, it was kind of exciting. And so I really started trying to learn as much as I could about the community that I was in, right? Because it was going to be the first time in a lot of years that I was actually a part of a community that we realized we weren't picking up and leaving in another 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Post-military. And in learning about the community, I started learning about what the soft spots were in the community of Huntsville. What were the challenges we were having in that town? Where were our strengths? And the thing that I saw about Huntsville that was so amazing was that there are 5 enterprises in Huntsville that most cities don't get to boast about. And those 5 enterprises are one industry. Doesn't matter if you're commercial or Department of Defense.
Yep.
Their industry game is strong.
It is.
The second is we have the arsenal right there. So to be able to have this military entity, this Department of Defense entity where, you can roll right onto the arsenal and talk to either the folks that are wearing the green uniform or the folks that are civilians, but part of that team is also just a great gift to be able to do that and really understand what our military needs. The third is a government. Our local government in Huntsville is so incredible, as well as very, You can walk into our city hall or into our courthouse, and if you want to speak with the mayor or speak with the city council, you have a voice.
Oh, wow.
And so that's another thing that has always been very impressive to me there. Fourth, we have a post-secondary education in Huntsville that's incredible, between UAH, Alabama A&M, Drake State, Oakwood, Calhoun, you name it. There are options for kids or even adults to achieve a higher degree of learning. And then finally, the nonprofit enterprise in Huntsville is like something I had never seen. It is, if there is an issue within the city of Huntsville, there is a nonprofit tackling it. Yeah. And so my company was born out of, if there's some way that I can get these 5 enterprises that are so unique to Huntsville to work together, then rising tide lifts all boats.
Yep.
And more will happen if these 5 enterprises can collab than if they're only collabing 1 or 2 over here or siloing.
Yep.
And after that, it just kind of was magical. Within just 6 to 9 months of opening the company 5 years ago, I smile because I can't believe how supportive Huntsville was of me and what I was trying to do.
Yep.
And it's been an incredible ride. And I have for so long said at age 55, I want to retire and just kind of, be on the beach sipping a Mai Tai or something. But here I am, 55, and the excitement and energy that I get from what I'm doing, it's making me second guess all of those, best laid plans that I had a decade ago, because it's just fun.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I think that's what I've often heard the saying, don't live your life for vacation, build a life where you don't feel like you need to take a vacation in order to continue.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've
I
done
dig
that.
I've never heard that before, but I dig that. And I'm gonna
steal it.
I'm gonna steal it. I will give you credit for telling me about
well,
it.
I've stolen it from somebody else that I can't remember, but
But I like that.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of feel like I'm at right now. Whereas, there's a hustle. Right now I'm kind of doing the 7 days a week,
Yep.
I've got my guys doing, at least 6.5 days a week, on their projects, but we're having fun.
Yep.
And what we're doing is exciting, and every day's different.
Yeah.
And our clients are so different and diverse that kind of keeps us on our game too.
Yeah, I can see that, not having one particular client or one particular domain, just the breadth of the different things that you do would definitely keep it interesting. So how does all that tie in? Because I know you're really involved with the ASCTE School there in Huntsville. How does that tie in?
Wow, that is when I started the company a little over 5.5 years ago. One of my third or fourth clients, I had only been in business for a couple of months, said, "Hey, you really need to look at, this idea that one of my friends is talking about. They're going to have a big announcement. Why don't you go to the announcement and just see what they're doing?" And so I crash the party. I show up at this announcement, and I meet some amazing people like Alicia Ryan, Pat Sullivan, Joe Newberry, just some amazing folks that really run some incredible industries within Huntsville, but also do a lot to give back to the community.
Yep.
And they were working really hard to build a cyber school.
Yeah.
And basically, that's what ASCTE is. It's the Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering.
Yeah.
It's a state school. It's a public school, but it's run very much like an independent school.
Okay.
And so you've got 9th through 12th graders from all over the state of Alabama. Almost half of them are living on the campus.
Oh, wow.
It's a boarding school. And we are teaching students how to put cyber resiliency into the engineering life cycle. So whether it's systems engineering, electrical, aerospace, these kids are learning how to put cyber resiliency into that.
Yep.
And that's a shortage.
It is, and I can say, because now at this point I've interacted with several of the students from there, and these are high school students that are, when you ask them for brainstorming ideas, when you talk to them about the projects they're working on, they sound like they're already juniors in college.
I know. It's incredible.
Really wild.
And the beauty behind that, though, William, is that these kids come from every walk of life. We're not just taking kids that are the best and brightest. We're taking kids from all over Alabama. We have hit all four corners of this amazing state. There are some kids that come from the best private schools in the state, and there are other kids that if they had not gotten this opportunity, they probably wouldn't even know how to open a laptop because of the circumstances of which they've come. And they come to us, and we sit and truly work out ways to level the playing field for them.
Yeah.
Because the mission of the school, as Matt Massey, who is the president of the school, he always talks about, we are here to ensure that all students can learn at a high level.
Yeah.
And so there are built-in processes within their day that help those kids that are coming from an area that may not be producing academics at the same rate that a Huntsville is.
Yeah.
And so how do we ensure that those kids come to our school and they succeed? And so there are things built into their day to get them to that level for where they can succeed.
That's great.
And so now here we are, we're in our fourth year, and these kids are crushing it. They're getting jobs, with Homeland Security. They're getting jobs on the Arsenal. They're getting jobs with amazing Department of Defense industries, commercial industries. They're going on to schools like Harvard, Purdue, Georgia Tech. So it's pretty incredible to watch the youth of our state, where our public education is put in the spotlight a lot, and not for good reasons.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to be able to have this high school that is the only high school of its kind in the entire nation flip education on its head, and then to have other states come and say, how are you doing this? And please tell us your secret sauce, because this is incredible.
Yeah, no, it really is incredible, and I appreciate that description, because I've interacted with it on different levels, but I haven't heard the whole story from beginning to where it is now. I'm not going to say end, because it's just the beginning.
We're
really
just beginning.
So that's wild. All right, I know that you've got a whole bunch of stuff you got to do today, so I can't sit here talking to you all day, even though I would. For one of those students, or if you could go back in time and talk to Peggy Lee when she came back from college before making those life-changing decisions, what advice would you give yourself or somebody that's really just starting out and looking to pursue a career similar to what you've had?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that one of the things that we do a lot, whether it's as parents, adults, educators, whatever it is, when kids come to us and ask for advice, what we need to understand is that those kids that are asking for advice are already probably on a level 8 every day when they wake up, in terms of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
They're already putting pressure enough on themselves. Where am I going to go to college? What am I going to major in? What kind of job am I going to have? And when they have missteps, when they have what they deem as failures, when they get into a college course and it doesn't go as well as they thought it would, or they're going from an area where they're a big fish in a small pond, and now they go to university and they are a dime a dozen. It's okay for your dream and your vision of where you thought you wanted to go to change. And I think that that's where a lot of, I see it every day when I'm at the school and I'm interacting with those students, or when I'm mentoring young women through the WEDC Foundation or things like that. It's hard sometimes for young people to come to grips with the dream that I thought I wanted, or what I have been working for so long really isn't what I want anymore.
Yeah.
Or maybe I have to pursue this same dream from a different avenue.
Yeah.
So I don't get into a military academy. I can do ROTC while I'm in college,
Yeah.
and I will still have some of the same experiences.
Yeah.
So I went here for vet med, but this is just not my bag anymore.
Yeah.
Can I somehow still do something with animals or wildlife, but it's not necessarily vet medicine?
Yep.
So there's things that I try to encourage kids and those who have questions like that your dreams are going to change about 55 times between now
Yeah.
and to the point that you get to my age, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember being a sophomore in college, coming back, and I think every sophomore in college has that, like, what am I doing with my life?
Absolutely.
Moments all the time. It's just one big existential crisis the
Yeah.
sophomore year in college. And I remember being back at home over the holidays and hearing my parents have the conversation, because at that point all of us kids were out of the house essentially.
Right.
So I heard them saying at that point, well, what are we going to do with our lives? And it was like they were having the same conversation
Yep.
20, 30 years down the road.
Exactly.
And I'm having that conversation in my head. So that I think that's great advice. It's always good, I think, to take a look at what it is that makes you passionate about the thing that you thought was your dream.
Yep.
Because it may be that really what you're passionate about isn't whatever the label is on that dream.
That's right.
It's wildlife. Maybe you don't do great with gooey stuff, so being
Exactly.
in a vet office might not be the best for you.
Yeah.
But wildlife management may be perfect for you.
Absolutely.
So I think that's great advice. That's great advice.
And the other thing too is, I think young folks have a tendency, whether they're our own children or other people's children, they have a tendency to look at adults who they deem successful and think that we've just always been successful, right? And they don't have a clue as to how many times we stepped in it, failed, messed up, had to, evolve.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the bit of advice that I try to give to any young person or even other women that are kind of coming up through the Department of Defense industry or trying to make their mark. That, hey, look, if we're not evolving, we're kind of stagnant. Like, take the chance, and don't get wrapped up again in the what are people thinking of me? Am I capable of this? Are they going to be judging me about what I'm trying to do? Lead with, I'm going to do good things for good people, and I'm going to take care of folks, and then all of that white noise goes away.
No, that's great. I think that's what I'm going to take from our conversation today is really those two pieces of don't be afraid to evolve and lead with service.
Yeah.
And I think if you do those two things, it definitely seems like it would help to resolve a lot of that anxiety. So
Makes you feel good too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Peggy Lee, for coming in today and doing the podcast. If folks wanted to get in touch with you or follow what you're doing, I know that you're on LinkedIn, but also the company you keep is on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Is that the best place for them to go, or
that's the best place.
Facebook, or what's the best?
Usually LinkedIn is the best to go. And I always have someone checking even those LinkedIn messages if you message me. You can also go to our company website, www.thecompanyteam.com, and check out what we do. But I am always open to a discussion, to meeting new people and seeing how we can help each other.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and please tune back in, subscribe, like whatever the thing is on the platform that you're on listening. And hopefully we'll have Peggy Lee back at some point to have more conversations.
This was awesome.
Thank
You're
you so
awesome.
much.
Thank you so much.